Welcome to Nattys Crafts. Let's get crafting. Today we're going to make a craft Lazy Susan to keep all your craft supplies. And I've got this large platter from Ikea that I actually got from a thrift store. And I've got this medium-sized Lazy Susan from Target, the Target Bullseye's Playground, I guess it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure to make sure that I glue the Lazy Susan in the middle of that large platter. So once I've measured it 86 times, I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie to kind of draw it out so that when I've got the glue on there, I'll know exactly where to set down that Lazy Susan on the platter. So here's the label from the Lazy Susan, literally a $3 deal from Target. And what we're going to do is we're going to use both this strong adhesive glue from Dollar Tree as well as hot glue. And I'm just going to put the strong adhesive on all of those raised parts. And then I'll put a little bit of hot glue in the corners. Well, are they corners? Where the pieces meet, basically. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but you can see what I'm doing. And so here, I'm going to put the hot glue in the middle there and then on each bend there. And we're just going to line it back up with the lines that I made before. Make sure it's even and centered. And I did end up having to press this down for quite a few minutes to make sure it was flat, because it was not flat. I don't know which piece wasn't, but it wasn't. And then we're going to use 2 of these large pegboards from Dollar Tree. And we are going to connect them together. Now, on the one I've made before, because I did make one of these months back, I put a little hot glue in the corners, but this time I didn't, and I probably should have to keep the pegboard flat because it ended up overlapping with each other and not being even. So just keep that in mind. It might be better to put a dot of hot glue in each corner to keep the pegboard lined up. So we're gonna put these zip ties through, there's little holes meant, I guess, for zip ties on these pegboards. So we're going to put a zip tie in each corner, and that will help us to connect the pegboards together. This was the longest part of this whole craft, as perhaps you can tell. And then once we've got them through, then we've got to fish them back through to the front of the pegboard. Or would that be the back? I don't know. You decide. I guess it would be the back because the front should look better, right? And this was difficult. My little arthritic hands could not make this happen. I don't know why. It probably wouldn't be as hard for you, but it was difficult for me. This was the longest part, I promise you. All right, and then 86 years later, once I've got them through, I'm gonna just go ahead and tighten up the zip ties. Here is where you really want to make sure you've got your pegboards lined up, because I don't know if you saw, but you can kind of make it uneven and mess it up a little bit. So before you cut your zip ties and do all of this extra, make sure that your pegboard is flat against itself. And then you're just going to cut off all that extra zip tie that you don't need. And then we're going to figure out where we want to put this pegboard on our platter. So I liked mine toward the back. I thought about in the middle, but I like mine toward the back. That's the way my small one has it set up, and I appreciate that. I like that. So that's what I'm going to do. Now here's where the bottom, I told you, is not level or not even. If you would have put your zip ties in properly, it would be even, but mine was not. And so what I'm going to do to make up for it is I'm going to add a popsicle stick for the one that is being overlapped, basically. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is just put some hot glue to add the popsicle stick on to the bottom of the pegboard. And again, you could skip this step if you would have done it properly, but you know, whatever. And then we're going to add some super glue as well as hot glue in order to glue this whole piece down to the platter. And then just hold it there for a few moments to let it set. That hot glue will set fast, but it is metal, so just make sure that you hold it down. The super glue does set within, I think it's 5 seconds. And then I'm going to add some supports on my pegboards just because I want it to be super strong. I want to use this. I don't want it to fall apart while I'm using it. So I'm going to add some little Jenga blocks to the front of the pegboard, attaching it to the bottom of the platter. This is the one that I had made months ago. I don't think I made a video on making this one, but you can see how overflowing it is with stuff. And so it just wasn't enough space for me. And so that's why I needed a bigger one. So basically everything that I had on the smaller one, I'm now gonna put on the larger one. So all of these little accessories, these little hooks and such, they have those at Dollar Tree. Now, my Dollar Tree, as I've told you many times before, is not great. None of the Dollar Trees I'm near. I have to drive a distance to get to a Dollar Tree that's good. And I don't do that very often. But anyway, I'm taking everything off the old Lazy Susan craft supply holder and I'm moving it to this larger one. These are basically scissors and Cricut supplies. That's basically everything that I have hanging. And that's it. I've got it all taken care of now. So now I can add my hot glue onto the platter. So those two white things in the front are different types of hot glue. I've got water, because I always keep water for my steamer. I've got my scissors and my Cricut tools. Not Cricut, because I don't even have a Cricut, my Silhouette tools. Plenty of pens and cutters and other miscellaneous tools that you need in crafting. And lotion, of course, because lotion is important in life. So this is within my dream box. One day, eventually, I will show you my dream box. It is not a dream today, so once it's somewhat of a dream, I will let you all see it. But this is how it looks when you're sitting down at the table. That's my little workspace right there. So that's how it looks. I thank you so much for stopping by today. I sure do appreciate it. I sure hope you could give this video a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe. When you do subscribe, you should go ahead and hit the bell so that you know when my next video comes out. Remember to appreciate today, as tomorrow is never promised. Y'all have a great one.